Maya Bennett's life shatters overnight. Betrayed, humiliated, and forced to flee, leaving behind her precious son, Eli, and the man she once trusted most. Nathaniel Carter, powerful yet blinded by pride, soon realizes his greatest mistake. Can love overcome devastating lies, ruthless betrayal, and unforgivable pain? Prepare your heart for a gripping journey filled with passion, resilience, and powerful lessons about trust and second chances. Who is Maya, and how far will Nate go to reclaim the woman he lost? Let me know where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe to experience more unforgettable stories. The glittering skyline of Crestview shimmered beneath a blanket of stars, a city both dazzling and merciless, where fortunes were built overnight and hearts shattered even quicker. At the heart of downtown stood Carter Towers, a sleek, towering masterpiece of glass and steel, symbolizing power, ambition, and wealth. It belonged to Nathaniel Carter, a name whispered with admiration, envy, and sometimes fear. Nate was the embodiment of success, brilliant, ruthless, and fiercely determined. Yet within him lay a silent void, a guarded emptiness he'd long convinced himself didn't matter. Across the city, in a modest office filled with sketches, fabric swatches, and a heart full of dreams, Maya Bennett sat at her desk, working tirelessly to prove herself in the competitive world of interior design. She was talented, passionate, and deeply intuitive, yet still awaiting her big break. Unlike Nate, Maya had always believed that fate had its plans, trusting in love despite the scars left from past disappointments. Tonight, fate seemed to smile upon her, offering an invitation to a prestigious gala, the kind she'd only read about in magazines. Nervous yet hopeful, she chose an elegant midnight blue gown, simple but stunning enough to highlight her natural grace. The grand hall at the Crestview Royal Hotel buzzed with energy. Laughter mingled with the soft hum of classical music, and crystal chandeliers cast golden glows across the sea of wealthy faces. Maya felt oddly out of place, yet reminded herself she belonged wherever her dreams took her. Suddenly, amidst the crowd, her gaze locked onto Nathaniel Carter. Tall, commanding, impossibly handsome in his tailored black tuxedo, he moved effortlessly, his eyes unreadable, enigmatic. For years, Maya had admired him from afar, following his career in secret, wondering what kind of man existed behind his powerful exterior. Now here he was, just steps away, his presence magnetically pulling her attention. Their eyes met, brief yet powerful. She expected nothing, knowing he would never notice her in such a place. Yet, moments later, Nate approached, glass of whiskey in hand, eyes slightly clouded but compelling. Conversation began easily, flowing unexpectedly smoothly. Maya spoke passionately about design, her vision of turning empty spaces into stories, emotions woven into every room. Nate listened intently, his cold mask slowly slipping, replaced by a spark of curiosity he rarely felt. Hours later, that spark ignited into something uncontrollable. Maya knew he had been drinking, sensed the risk, yet when Nate's strong hand brushed hers, rational thought vanished. He murmured sweet, intoxicating words. Words she knew he wouldn't remember by sunrise, but she didn't care. That night, hidden behind the luxurious doors of a private hotel suite, Maya surrendered herself completely. She believed foolishly that maybe she was different, special enough to reach beyond his guarded heart. Sunlight arrived too soon, harshly illuminating the empty space beside her. Nate had vanished, leaving behind an eerie silence that filled Maya with dread. Her eyes widened when she noticed 3 thick stacks of cash left neatly on the nightstand, mocking the tenderness she'd imagined they'd shared. Her breath caught painfully in her chest as humiliation set in. She had been reduced to nothing but a transactional pleasure, another forgotten face, meaningless to him. She dressed silently, wiping bitter tears, vowing never again to be that naive girl who dreamed beyond her reach. Days turned into weeks, yet she could not escape the lingering shadow of that night. Physically, something felt different, off balance, frighteningly new. After missing her period, Maya's fears solidified into a stark reality. He was pregnant with Nate Carter's child. Shock and uncertainty overwhelmed her. She knew she had to tell him, but struggled with doubt. When finally summoning courage, Maya stood trembling in Carter Tower's grand lobby, begging for a chance to see Nate, only to be harshly turned away. She realized bitterly that Nate Carter didn't even remember her, let alone care about her situation. In that moment, Maya made the hardest choice of her life. She would raise this child alone, with dignity, strength, and love. Nate had wealth, influence, and prestige. But Maya had resilience, courage, and compassion. He would never know about this baby, never have the chance to reject them both again. As she walked out of the building, determination burned fiercely in her chest. Nathaniel Carter would remain unaware that the night he had dismissed so easily had changed her life forever. Maya disappeared from his world quietly, bravely accepting the challenge ahead, unaware that fate was far from finished with their story. 5 years passed, reshaping Maya's world into something bright yet fiercely guarded. Eli, her beautiful, spirited son, filled every moment with laughter, curiosity, and boundless joy. Each milestone he reached strengthened her resolve, reminding her daily that her decision to raise him alone had been the right one. Through determination and sheer talent, Maya climbed steadily within the interior design industry, gaining recognition and respect. Though she hadn't opened her own studio yet, clients sought her out, praising her creativity and emotional intuition. Life wasn't easy, but it was full of genuine happiness. Eli became her anchor, her heart, the reason she pushed forward despite hardships, never once allowing herself to dwell on Nathaniel Carter again. On a crisp autumn afternoon, Maya promised Eli a special treat: a visit to Crestview's prestigious Carter Square Mall. She'd long stopped worrying about crossing paths with Nate. Surely he wouldn't remember a woman he'd spent one meaningless night with, let alone recognize her after all these years. Eli bounded excitedly beside her, his little hand tugging at hers impatiently as they wandered through vibrant corridors filled with upscale boutiques and inviting eateries. "Mommy, please, ice cream," Eli begged, his eyes sparkling hopefully. Maya laughed softly, bending down to ruffle his thick, dark curls. "All right, 1 scoop," she agreed gently, guiding him toward the vendor. Eli eagerly selected vanilla, savoring each bite as they continued their stroll. Maya felt a rare tranquility, content in the simple joy of motherhood, until an unmistakably deep, authoritative voice shattered her peace. Her entire body froze, heart thundering painfully as she turned slowly, hoping desperately she'd imagined it. But there, standing mere yards away, in an impeccably tailored suit, surrounded by executives, stood Nathaniel Carter, powerful, strikingly handsome, and unmistakably real. He was conducting a routine inspection of his property, a rare occurrence. Yet fate cruelly timed this coincidence. Nate's gaze swept casually over the bustling food court until it locked onto Eli. Maya's breath halted. Her heart stilled as she saw recognition bloom unmistakably in Nate's piercing eyes. His attention moved slowly from Eli's small face, one strikingly similar to his own, to hers, confusion quickly turning into shock. Nate didn't hesitate. With purpose, he strode forward, ignoring startled looks from his associates. Within seconds, he stood in front of Maya, his voice low but charged with suspicion. "Whose child is this?" he demanded, eyes sharp, intense. Maya instinctively tightened her grip on Eli's hand, heart racing with fear and anger. "What does that matter to you, Mr. Carter?" she replied firmly, struggling to keep her voice steady. Nate leaned closer, his voice colder now. "It matters because he looks exactly like me." Maya's heart sank. She had rehearsed 1,000 times what she'd say if this moment ever came. But facing Nate now, she felt completely unprepared. Swallowing the lump in her throat, she stood her ground, refusing to let him intimidate her. "Having money and power doesn't give you the right to make such accusations," she shot back, trying desperately to shield Eli from sensing her panic. "You can't claim every child who resembles you." Anger flickered briefly in Nate's eyes, but his gaze never left Eli. The resemblance was undeniable, his suspicions impossible to dismiss. Before Maya could react further, she tugged Eli away protectively, retreating swiftly into the crowd. But Nate Carter was a man who never let things go easily. Watching her vanish, he turned abruptly to his assistant. "Find out everything about that woman," he ordered sharply, "and get a paternity test." Within days, Nate had undeniable proof. Fury consumed him at the realization. Maya Bennett had hidden his son from him for 5 long years. Angered by betrayal, blinded by betrayal, blinded by wounded pride, he stormed into her modest workplace, confronting her in private. "How dare you keep my child from me?" he hissed, eyes blazing with bitterness and pain. Maya stood firm, refusing to crumble beneath his accusations. "You left money on a nightstand like I was nothing," she replied coldly, fighting tears. "I protected Eli from a father who wouldn't have wanted him." "You had no right," Nate snapped, voice raw with hurt. "And you had no right to abandon me," she shot back defiantly, voice trembling but strong. "I raised Eli alone. He's loved, safe, and happy without your interference." Nate's jaw tightened. "I'll see you in court," he growled, leaving her trembling behind. In that instant, Maya knew the fight of her life had begun. Yet, she also knew, with absolute certainty, that she would defend Eli with every breath in her body, even if it meant facing the man she'd once secretly loved, who now threatened to take away the very reason she lived. Within days, Maya found herself thrust into a battle she'd never imagined facing. Court summons, attorneys' calls, and restless nights became her new reality. Panic threatened to consume her, but she drew strength from Eli, whose innocent laughter and trusting eyes reminded her of what she stood to lose. She knew she needed help, a lawyer powerful enough to face Nate's formidable legal team. Without hesitation, she reached out to Lucas Wright, a dear friend since their college days, now one of Crestview's most respected attorneys. Lucas had always quietly loved Maya, offering friendship and unwavering support whenever life grew complicated. Lucas arrived promptly at her modest apartment, his comforting presence steadying Maya's shaken nerves. Gently, he listened as she revealed the painful truth she'd hidden for 5 years. Nate, Eli, and her decision to raise her son alone. Though shock registered briefly on Lucas's features, he quickly composed himself, compassion radiating from his calm expression. "You won't lose Eli, Maya," Lucas vowed quietly, placing a reassuring hand on hers. "I promise. We'll fight this, and I'll protect you both." Despite his comforting words, Maya knew the odds stacked against her. Nate Carter was not merely wealthy. He was influential, respected by judges and powerful circles in Crestview. His lawyers would argue her decision as deliberate deception, portraying her as irresponsible. Maya feared Nate's resources and status would sway the court, no matter how fiercely she defended herself. When the custody hearing arrived, the courtroom felt unbearably cold, its harsh lighting illuminating Maya's growing anxiety. Nate walked in confidently, surrounded by attorneys and aides exuding authority as he refused even to glance her way. Maya took a shaky breath, drawing courage from Lucas seated resolutely beside her, his expression calm yet fiercely determined. The trial quickly grew intense, lawyers exchanging ruthless arguments. Nate's team accused Maya of maliciously hiding Eli, denying Nate his rights as a father, claiming he alone could offer Eli a life filled with opportunities and privilege. Each accusation stung deeply, piercing Maya's heart with guilt and anger. She wanted desperately to rise and shout the truth, that she'd acted solely out of love, fear of rejection, and deep humiliation. Lucas stood, his voice steady, powerful, filling the courtroom with genuine conviction. This woman was abandoned after a single night, left feeling discarded and forgotten. He argued passionately. Despite hardship, she raised Eli independently, giving him love, stability, and warmth. Wealth alone cannot buy a mother's heart. His words hung powerfully in the air, leaving the courtroom momentarily silent. Maya watched Nate's unreadable expression, wondering if any part of him felt the weight of Lucas's sincerity. Eventually, after heated deliberations, the judge ruled temporarily. Nate would receive supervised visitation rights pending further assessment, with custody not yet fully settled. Maya's heart sank, understanding the battle was far from over. The first time Eli went to Nate's grand estate, he clung tearfully to Maya's hand, confused and frightened. Maya reassured him gently, hiding her own fears behind a brave smile. Yet after Eli left, the silence became crushing, each passing second agonizing as she awaited his return. At Nate's mansion, Eli felt overwhelmed by its imposing rooms, lavish furnishings, and unfamiliar faces. Nate struggled awkwardly, unsure how to connect with the small, withdrawn boy who clearly missed his mother. Over dinner, Eli barely spoke, eyes downcast, pushing food around his plate. Nate felt helpless, a rare sensation, and frustration gnawed at his carefully constructed composure. That night, Nate checked on Eli, finding him sleeping fitfully, clutching a small toy Maya had packed. The vulnerability in Eli's tiny face struck Nate sharply, cracking open emotions he'd long buried beneath layers of ambition and bitterness. Guilt slowly seeped in, stirring uncomfortable questions about whether this custody battle was truly best for his son. In the weeks that followed, Nate tried harder. He learned Eli's favorite cartoons, sat patiently beside him coloring, and gradually saw his son open up. Yet something remained undeniably missing. Eli's happiness always returned fully when he reunited with Maya. Each evening, Maya listened quietly as Eli recounted tales of Daddy's big house and new toys, her heart aching secretly at the growing bond between father and son. Then one night during Eli's stay at Nate's mansion, the boy suddenly developed a high fever, crying uncontrollably for his mother. Panicked and helpless, Nate called Maya urgently. Without hesitation, she raced to Eli's bedside, soothing him instantly with tender embraces, humming familiar lullabies, whispering calming reassurances only a mother could provide. Nate watched silently from the doorway, profoundly affected by the undeniable depth of Maya's love. In that quiet moment, he finally understood. Eli didn't simply need wealth or privilege. He needed his mother's unconditional love. And perhaps, Nate realized, so did he. Watching Maya gently cradle Eli that night, Nate felt something shift profoundly within him, a crack in the protective armor he'd carefully constructed over the years. Maya's tenderness, her soothing voice, the effortless way she calmed their son, stirred an unfamiliar yearning in his heart. She wasn't the reckless, manipulative woman he had portrayed her to be in court. She was the very embodiment of selfless love. As dawn broke through the mansion's grand windows, casting gentle rays across Maya's exhausted face, Nate made a decision that would redefine their lives. Days later, he invited Maya to meet him privately at Carter Towers, away from the scrutiny of lawyers and judges. Hesitantly, Maya arrived, guarded and uncertain of his intentions. Sitting across from her, Nate exhaled slowly, gathering his courage to speak words he'd never imagined uttering. "I'm dropping the lawsuit," he began quietly, sincerity etched deeply into his eyes. "Eli deserves better than endless battles. He deserves both his parents in his life." Shock registered clearly on Maya's face, quickly replaced by relief and cautious gratitude. For the first time in months, they exchanged a hesitant smile, recognizing in each other the shared devotion to their son. It felt like the first real peace between them, fragile yet powerful. But not everyone welcomed Nate's sudden change of heart. When his mother, Eleanor Carter, learned of his decision, her fury was immediate and sharp. Eleanor summoned Nate urgently to her lavish home, confronting him directly with disapproval. "You're abandoning the custody case?" Eleanor demanded, her elegant features twisted with disbelief. "Nathaniel, have you lost your mind?" Nate met her stern gaze evenly, unyielding in his newfound conviction. "I finally found clarity," he responded firmly. "Eli needs Maya as much as he needs me." Eleanor scoffed disdainfully. "Maya Bennett is hardly suitable to raise your son. She lacks class, connections, and dignity. Marry someone appropriate. Someone like Camilla Hart, who can give Eli Hart proper upbringing." Nate stiffened at the mention of Camilla, his manipulative ex-fiancée, a woman Eleanor had always favored. "Camilla and I ended things long ago," he replied coldly. "She's part of my past." "Then reconsider," Eleanor urged sharply. "You owe Eli stability, a real family. Not a single mother barely scraping by." Nate rose abruptly, temper flaring, yet controlled. "Maya has given Eli more love than money ever could," he said firmly. "My decision stands. I won't marry Camilla or anyone else just because of status." Frustrated, Eleanor glared as Nate walked resolutely out the door, fully committed to his new path. Meanwhile, across town, Maya felt an unexpected warmth returning to her life. Nate's gesture had lifted a heavy burden from her heart, opening a space for cautious hope. Over the following weeks, they spent more time together, gradually building trust, not only as co-parents, but as two people rediscovering their shared past. They began to heal wounds they had both stubbornly ignored. One evening, sitting together on Nate's balcony overlooking the city, an undeniable intimacy grew between them. The soft glow of city lights bathed Maya's face in warmth, highlighting her quiet strength and beauty. Nate turned to her, eyes thoughtful, voice gentle. "You've changed me," he admitted, vulnerability evident in his tone. "I never thought I'd feel anything like this." Her heartbeat quickened, aware they stood on fragile emotional ground. Without warning, Nate reached out tenderly, brushing a stray curl behind her ear, fingers lingering against her warm skin. The moment stretched, delicate yet charged with possibilities, until Nate leaned in, pressing his lips softly against hers. Maya hesitated only briefly, then melted into the kiss, emotions long suppressed bursting free. But suddenly, panic replaced bliss as she gently pulled away, overwhelmed by fear. I can't do this," she whispered shakily, stepping back. Confusion flashed briefly across Nate's face, quickly replaced by understanding and patience. Without pressing further, he allowed Maya space, silently promising to wait until she was ready. Yet, fate was not finished testing them. Days later, Lucas unexpectedly confessed his longtime feelings to Maya. His sincerity touched her deeply, but she knew her heart belonged elsewhere. With gentle honesty, she thanked Lucas, affirming their friendship without hurting him needlessly. He accepted her decision gracefully, promising to remain a steadfast ally no matter what. Unbeknownst to them, however, trouble brewed in the shadows. Camilla Hart, furious upon learning Nate's renewed affection for Maya, devised a sinister scheme to sever their connection forever. Driven by jealousy and obsession, she plotted meticulously, intending to create an undeniable scandal that would shatter Maya's credibility and Nate's trust permanently. As Maya and Nate cautiously rebuilt their relationship, neither anticipated the storm approaching. One carefully orchestrated to tear them apart once more, testing whether their fragile bond could survive the ultimate betrayal. Consumed by jealousy, Camilla Hart meticulously set her sinister plan into motion. She refused to accept losing Nate to someone like Maya, a woman she considered beneath her in every way. If subtle doubts weren't enough to poison Nate's mind, she would give him undeniable proof, even if she had to create it herself. Camilla hired a discreet private investigator to shadow Maya closely, capturing photographs designed to imply intimacy with Lucas. She went further, crafting a fake business inquiry to lure Maya and Lucas to a hotel lounge, paying handsomely to ensure the scene unfolded precisely according to her ruthless design. On a rainy Friday evening, Maya received an unexpected message from Lucas about a potential client who urgently wanted to discuss a major legal case with them both. Though hesitant at first, she agreed, trusting Lucas implicitly. Together, they arrived at the luxurious Crestview Regency Hotel, unaware of Camilla's hidden eyes following their every step. Settling at a quiet corner table, neither questioned the complimentary champagne delivered swiftly by an attentive server. "This must be from our mysterious client," Lucas joked lightly, raising his glass in amusement. Maya smiled softly, lifting her own glass in agreement. But mere sips later, a wave of dizziness hit them both with alarming intensity. Maya's vision blurred, a sense of panic surging through her veins. "Lucas." "Something's wrong," she murmured weakly, struggling to stand. Lucas felt equally disoriented, his mind spinning uncontrollably. Instinctively, he guided Maya carefully toward a nearby private suite reserved for wary guests, intending only to help her rest safely until they regained clarity. Yet moments later, they both collapsed, consciousness slipping rapidly away as Camilla's carefully administered drugs took full effect. Camilla swiftly alerted Nate anonymously, masking her identity behind cryptic messages. "Your precious Maya isn't who you think. Crestview Regency Hotel, Suite 203C. See for yourself." The ominous words ignited immediate dread in Nate's heart. Rushing desperately to the hotel, fear and suspicion gripped him mercilessly. As he burst through the suite's doors, Nate's heart shattered at the devastating scene before him. Maya lying motionless beside Lucas, who lay shirtless, equally unconscious. Despite their clothing mostly intact, the implication was painfully clear, leaving no room in Nate's tortured mind for reasonable explanations. Rage and betrayal clouded his vision. Drowning any lingering trust he'd begun rebuilding with Maya. The following morning, Maya awakened groggily, her head throbbing violently. Lucas stirred slowly beside her, equally confused and alarmed. Panic surged through Maya when she realized her phone overflowed with missed calls. She sensed immediately something had gone horribly wrong. Frantically returning home, she soon discovered Nate's furious messages, his harsh accusations slicing deeply into her soul. Desperate to explain, she rushed to Nate's mansion, only to be met by his icy glare. He stood behind his grand desk, radiating cold anger. So he said sharply, contempt lacing his voice, "You decided to show your face." "Nate, please listen," Maya pleaded urgently, tears stinging her eyes. "We were drugged. This isn't what you think." Nate laughed bitterly, his expression darkening further. "Drugged. Convenient excuse. Do you really think I'm that foolish?" "It's the truth," Maya insisted, desperation thickening her voice. "Nothing happened. I swear on Eli's life." His gaze hardened, impenetrable and unforgiving. "I trusted you once before." "Never again," he growled. "I'm taking Eli permanently." "No, Nate, please," Maya begged, anguish tearing through her. But he silenced her abruptly, walking away without another glance. The days following the scandal left Maya shattered beyond measure. Her heartbroken sobs echoed through her empty apartment, the ache of losing Eli consuming her entirely. In profound despair, she turned once more to Lucas, her voice barely a whisper. "I can't stay here," she confessed brokenly. Exhaustion etched deeply into her features. "This city, the pain, it's too much." Lucas studied her carefully, sympathy evident in his gentle expression. "Maya, running won't solve." "This isn't running," she interrupted softly, eyes pleading desperately. "It's survival. Staying here, I'll suffocate." After a long, heavy silence, Lucas finally nodded solemnly. "I understand. Go somewhere you can breathe. I'll support whatever you decide." That night, packing quietly beneath a veil of tears, Maya left Crestview behind, vanishing silently without a trace. Months passed slowly for Nate, an emptiness settling relentlessly inside him, despite Eli's comforting presence. Something vital was missing, the truth persistently gnawing at him until he finally ordered a thorough investigation. When his assistant presented irrefutable evidence exposing Camilla's twisted betrayal, Nate's world collapsed in remorseful agony. Confronting Camilla viciously, Nate made it clear she'd never again occupy space in his life, yet the damage seemed irreparable. Maya was gone, driven away by his unforgivable lack of faith. Alone in his expansive mansion, Nate recognized bitterly that his pride had cost him the only woman he'd ever truly loved. And now she was lost to him, perhaps forever. Months slipped by, each day an agonizing reminder of Nate's profound mistake. Though Eli filled his world with innocent laughter, Nate's heart ached persistently, haunted by Maya's absence. Guilt gnawed at him relentlessly, stripping away his carefully guarded layers, exposing the raw regret beneath. Every night, Eli asked the same heart-wrenching question, "Daddy, when is Mommy coming back?" And every time, Nate struggled for words, feeling a knife twist deeper within his chest. Desperation drove him to action. Determined to correct the irreparable, Nate poured all his considerable resources into finding Maya. He hired detectives, explored every possible lead, and tirelessly searched across cities, small towns, and even abroad. Yet each promising trail grew cold, leaving him feeling more defeated and helpless with every passing day. The realization hit Nate bitterly. He had single-handedly driven away the woman, who had given away the woman who had given his life meaning, and the mother his son desperately needed. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away from Crestview, Maya quietly rebuilt her life in a secluded town nestled by gentle hills and sprawling fields. Her days were busy yet hollow, consumed by work at a humble interior design firm, where no one knew her painful past. Each night brought solitude and haunting silence, echoes of Eli's laughter replaced by emptiness. Despite her efforts to suppress memories, Nate's face lingered constantly in her thoughts, alongside the sharp pain of his betrayal and distrust. Back in Crestview, Nate's frustration peaked into desperation. Deciding that subtlety had failed, he chose a drastic course, publicly begging for Maya's forgiveness through an emotional televised press conference. Standing solemnly before countless cameras, Nate revealed his truth openly, vulnerability etched deeply into his tired face. "I've hurt the only woman who ever truly loved me, the mother of my child," Nate admitted openly, his voice trembling with genuine remorse. "I believed lies over the truth, and it cost me everything. Maya Bennett, wherever you are, please forgive me. Come home. Eli needs you." His emotional plea resonated profoundly, quickly spreading virally, captivating the public and igniting intense interest nationwide. People shared Nate's heartfelt confession across every platform, moved by his sincerity, deeply touched by his humility. Deeply touched by his humility. Within days, hope finally appeared. A call from a distant stranger provided Nate with an exact location, a quiet village far from Crestview's glamour and noise. Fueled by hope and nervous anticipation, Nate immediately traveled there, arriving early in the morning. Sitting anxiously inside a small cafe, he waited, heart pounding, uncertain how Maya would react when she saw him again. And when she finally entered the cafe, Nate's breath caught painfully, emotions surging powerfully as he whispered her name. Maya. Her entire body froze in disbelief, eyes wide and vulnerable. Slowly turning, Maya faced Nate, her gaze guarded yet deeply wounded. "You found me," she breathed softly, confusion and pain evident in her voice. "I searched everywhere," Nate admitted gently, sincerity radiating from every word. "But it was your choice. I had to ask the world for help." Her expression softened momentarily, though deep hesitation lingered. "You hurt me deeply, Nate," she whispered. "How could I ever trust you again?" Stepping cautiously toward her, Nate spoke with raw honesty, his voice thick with emotion. "I can't change what I've done, Maya, but I promise you this. I will spend every remaining moment proving I am worthy of your trust again. Eli misses you terribly, and I'm incomplete without you." Maya's eyes shimmered with tears. Conflict shadowed her expression, but finally, after a heavy silence, she whispered, "I want to see my son." Relief flooded Nate instantly, hope blossoming anew in his heart. "Then, come home with me." Before leaving town, Maya met privately with Lucas, who coincidentally visited nearby for work. Knowing she owed him honesty, Maya gently told Lucas of her decision to return home. Though sadness flickered briefly in Lucas's eyes, he smiled kindly, accepting gracefully what he'd known deep inside all along. "Go back to your son, Maya," Lucas encouraged softly, true friendship evident in his voice. "You deserve happiness." Returning to Crestview, Maya felt anxious yet deeply hopeful, heart racing as they reached Nate's mansion. The instant she stepped inside, a familiar joyful cry echoed through the halls, "Mommy." Eli sprinted toward her, tiny arms open wide. Eli sprinted toward her, tiny arms open wide, eyes bright with ecstatic relief. Overwhelmed by emotion, Maya sank to her knees, clutching Eli tightly, tears streaming freely. "Oh, my sweet boy, Mommy missed you so much," she whispered repeatedly, holding him fiercely, refusing ever to let go again. Watching quietly from the staircase, Eleanor Carter finally understood the truth. Maya belonged here with her family. For the first time, she genuinely welcomed Maya, realizing this woman's deep love was precisely what her son and grandson needed most. That night, Nate observed Maya lovingly tucking Eli into bed, tenderness illuminating her every gesture. His heart swelled with gratitude and love, recognizing that fate had mercifully granted him a rare second chance. Precious opportunity he vowed never again to waste. In the quiet weeks following Maya's return, Nate patiently gave her the space she needed to heal. His desire to rebuild her trust meant holding back the love he so desperately wished to express, allowing actions rather than words to prove his sincerity. Each morning, Maya awakened to small gestures. Fresh flowers on her bedside table, gentle handwritten notes, expressing gratitude, or quiet breakfasts carefully prepared by Nate himself. Gradually, day by day, The protective walls she'd constructed around her wounded heart began to crumble softly. One peaceful evening, as Eli chased fireflies across the expansive garden, Maya found herself standing beside Nate beneath a canopy of fading sunlight. The silence between them felt comfortable yet charged, hinting at deeper truths they had yet to voice. "You've changed," Maya finally murmured, glancing shyly toward Nate. "You're different now." Turning gently to face her, his expression softened. "You changed me," Nate confessed quietly, sincerity coloring his every word. "Losing you taught me that pride and power are meaningless without love. I've spent my whole life chasing empty dreams. Until you—" Her heartbeat quickened as his gaze lingered warmly upon her face. Nate reached out hesitantly, softly brushing a stray curl from Maya's cheek, fingertips sending warmth across her skin. Their eyes locked, memories of past pain briefly overshadowed by newfound tenderness. Slowly, Nate leaned closer, pressing his lips gently against hers, a delicate kiss filled with unspoken promises and tender apologies. Maya's breath caught, emotions swirling inside her, powerful and undeniable. But suddenly, uncertainty gripped her heart, fear causing her to pull away slightly. "Nate, her voice faltered. "I don't know if I'm ready." He stepped back respectfully, eyes understanding and patient. "I understand. Take all the time you need. I'll wait as long as it takes." Yet, even amidst their cautious reconciliation, lingering shadows persisted. Eleanor Carter, Nate's mother, initially struggled to accept Maya fully, believing their worlds irreconcilably different. However, witnessing Maya's unwavering devotion to Eli and Nate began shifting Eleanor's rigid views. One evening, approaching Maya privately, Eleanor finally offered genuine acknowledgement. "I misjudged you," Eleanor admitted softly, surprising Maya. "I see now, clearly, that my son and grandson are happiest with you." Emotion welled in Maya's eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, earnestly, relief and gratitude flowing freely through her heart. But another, more complicated conversation awaited. Soon afterward, Lucas returned to Crestview on business, and Maya arranged to meet him privately, knowing he deserved closure. Sitting across from her dear friend, she gently explained her choice, honesty woven tenderly into each word. "I care deeply for you, Lucas," Maya admitted sincerely, holding his gaze steadily. "But my heart has always belonged elsewhere." Lucas offered a quiet, accepting smile, nodding gently. "I always knew," he confessed softly. "Your happiness is what matters most, Maya. I'll always be here, as your friend." His graceful acceptance allowed Maya peace, reinforcing her confidence in the path she'd chosen to follow with Nate. Weeks later, on a clear starlit night, Nate carefully prepared something unforgettable. Beneath soft strings of twinkling lights, surrounded by lush gardens and whispering trees, he set an intimate dinner table. Maya gasped softly upon seeing the romantic scene, heart fluttering nervously as Nate guided her gently forward. "Eli helped me," Nate admitted warmly, pulling out Maya's chair, their shared laughter breaking lingering tension. Throughout dinner, they reminisced openly, revisiting moments of joy and pain, healing old wounds together through honest conversation. Then suddenly, Nate stood quietly, reaching into his jacket pocket, his hands trembling slightly with anticipation. Slowly, gracefully, he lowered himself onto one knee, his deep eyes earnest, filled with unwavering devotion. Maya's breath caught sharply, emotion overwhelming her instantly. "Maya Bennett," Nate began gently, voice shaking with sincerity. "You taught me the meaning of true love and family. My life was incomplete without you." empty without your heart, your kindness, your courage. I can't erase my past mistakes, but I promise to spend every day proving my love and dedication. Please give me the honor of becoming your husband. Marry me. Be my forever." Tears filled Maya's eyes, heart swelling profoundly with gratitude, love, and forgiveness. In that powerful, transformative moment, she recognized clearly that their complicated journey had brought them exactly where they belonged. "Yes," Maya whispered joyfully, extending her trembling hand toward Nate. "Yes, I'll marry you." Slipping the dazzling diamond ring onto her finger, Nate rose swiftly, pulling her into his arms, sealing their commitment with a deep, passionate kiss beneath the infinite stars. In that tender embrace, every heartache, every misunderstanding dissolved completely, leaving only hope and unconditional love. Across oceans, Camilla Hart saw news of their engagement and finally accepted defeat bitterly, turning away permanently from Nate's life. But at Carter Mansion, joy filled every room. Eli danced happily around his parents, secure and loved deeply by both. Together, beneath the gentle glow of stars, Nate and Maya silently promised never again to take fate's precious gift for granted, embracing forever with open, grateful hearts. Months later, on a warm Sunday afternoon, golden sunlight spilled softly across the lush grass of Crestview's picturesque park. Maya relaxed comfortably beside Nate beneath the gentle shade of a sprawling oak tree, her fingers intertwined warmly with his. Nearby, Eli laughed joyfully, his boundless energy contagious as he chased colorful butterflies, carefree and secure in the presence of both his parents. Watching their son play so freely, Maya felt her heart swell with deep contentment, marveling quietly at how far they had all come together. Nate gazed at Maya affectionately, his eyes soft and grateful, reflecting genuine happiness. Overcoming pride, anger, and misunderstanding had taught him powerful lessons about love. Lessons learned painfully but well worth the struggle. Now he embraced fully the profound truth that family and love surpassed wealth, ambition, and societal expectations. With Maya by his side, he finally understood the true meaning of fulfillment, something money could never purchase. Yet, their journey to this moment hadn't been without challenges. Nate's mother, Eleanor Carter, had initially resisted their union fiercely, driven by pride and an unyielding belief in status above all. But witnessing the undeniable bond Maya shared with Nate and Eli gradually softened Eleanor's once hardened heart. Eventually, Eleanor acknowledged that Maya's love brought joy, warmth, and genuine connection to their family. Qualities she'd secretly longed for herself. Eleanor embraced Maya warmly, finally accepting her as an essential and cherished member of their family. One afternoon, Eleanor approached Maya privately, her normally commanding voice unusually gentle. "Maya," she began softly, sincerity evident in her gaze. "I was wrong to doubt you. You've given my son something I never could, a real family, love in its purest form. For that, you have my deepest gratitude." Maya smiled warmly, moved by Eleanor's heartfelt confession. "Thank you." She replied softly, "Your acceptance means more to me than you'll ever know." As the wedding drew near, Maya found herself reflecting deeply upon the path that had led them here. Her thoughts turned fondly toward Lucas, the loyal friend who had stood unwaveringly beside her through every storm. Determined to preserve their friendship, she arranged to meet him, knowing closure was essential for both their hearts. Sitting together in a quiet cafe, Maya gently explained her choice, emphasizing her profound gratitude for his endless support. Lucas listened calmly, his expression kind and understanding, gracefully accepting her truth. "I've always known," Lucas admitted softly, a genuine smile touching his lips. Your happiness is what matters most to me. Maya, my friendship will always be yours. His sincere acceptance brought Maya deep peace, strengthening her confidence in the future she had chosen to embrace fully. Across the ocean, Camilla Hart received news of Nate and Maya's upcoming wedding. Anger surged initially, replaced gradually by reluctant acceptance that her manipulations had ultimately failed. Recognizing defeat, she finally released her obsessive grip on Nate, choosing to move forward with her life elsewhere, never to disturb them again. On their wedding day, Maya walked down the aisle toward Nate, beneath an archway adorned with delicate roses. Surrounded by close friends, family, and Eli proudly bearing the rings. Nate waited patiently at the altar, his eyes shining with unguarded emotion. As Maya reached his side, Nate took her hands tenderly, their gazes locked with profound understanding and devotion. Vows exchanged softly carried heartfelt promises shaped by past struggles, affirming their commitment to cherish, trust, and respect one another forever. Nate's voice trembled gently, sincerity radiating from every heartfelt word. Maya, you taught me that true strength comes from vulnerability, compassion, and unconditional love. Today, I promise never again to lose sight of what matters most. Us, our family, our love. Maya's eyes filled with tears of happiness. Nate, she replied, voice steady and clear, you showed me that forgiveness and trust can heal even the deepest wounds. I promise to love, honor, and trust you always, building our future together, stronger because of everything we've overcome. Their heartfelt promises sealed lovingly with a passionate kiss beneath clear, endless skies. Friends and family erupted into joyful applause, celebrating not merely the union of two hearts, but the triumph of love over pride, deceit, and misunderstanding. In the years that followed, Nate and Maya continued to nurture their love and family with genuine care and understanding. Together, they guided Eli toward a life filled with compassion, honesty, and emotional courage. Eleanor watched with pride, grateful her son had finally discovered lasting happiness. Lucas remained a close and trusted friend, celebrating alongside them through every milestone, content knowing Maya's heart had found its true home. Late one evening, long after Eli had fallen peacefully asleep, Maya rested quietly beside Nate beneath a starry sky, her heart content. Nate wrapped his arms securely around her shoulders, pressing a gentle kiss upon her forehead. I love you, he whispered tenderly, gratitude coloring every word. Maya smiled warmly, nestling closer into his embrace. Together, beneath endless starlight, they silently promised never again to take love's precious gift for granted, forever grateful that fate had offered them a rare second chance, one they now cherished deeply and passionately every day of their lives. Nate's public declaration of love for Maya sent shockwaves throughout Crestview, reaching even the distant shores where Camilla Hart had retreated, bitter and resentful. Watching Nate's heartfelt confession play out on television, Camilla felt a surge of rage, an icy fury that quickly crystallized into a dark, vengeful plan. She would never allow Nate and Maya to find happiness at her expense. If she couldn't win him back fairly, she would shatter their union irrevocably, ensuring their love story ended in tragedy. Determined and cunning, Camilla meticulously set the stage for the ultimate betrayal. She hired private investigators, shadowing Maya closely, gathering innocent yet compromising photos of Maya with Lucas, her loyal friend and lawyer. Each captured moment was carefully framed to portray an intimate affair. Whispers exchanged over coffee, gentle laughter shared at restaurants. Though entirely innocent, the images painted a deceptive portrait of romance. Unsatisfied with merely photographs, Camilla ruthlessly pushed further. She anonymously contacted Lucas, posing as a potential client urgently requesting a private legal consultation involving Maya. Innocently agreeing, Maya accompanied Lucas to a luxury hotel lounge, unaware they were stepping directly into Camilla's vicious trap. Upon arrival, Maya and Lucas found a reserved table awaiting them, a chilled bottle of champagne already placed elegantly between two crystal flutes. Initially hesitant, Maya shrugged off her uncertainty, assuming the client had arranged this gesture as courtesy. Neither suspected the drinks had been laced with a potent sedative cunningly arranged by Camilla. Minutes after sipping champagne, Maya felt a disorienting wave of dizziness. Her vision blurred, her limbs growing alarmingly heavy. Lucas, similarly affected, attempted to help her stand, both desperate to leave the strange and suddenly threatening atmosphere. Barely managing to reach a nearby, private guest suite reserved by Camilla in advance, they collapsed onto the room's plush furniture, consciousness fading swiftly into darkness. At precisely that moment, Nate received an anonymous message, cryptically instructing him to witness Maya's true nature firsthand at Crestview's Regency Hotel, Suite 312. Fear and suspicion instantly seized Nate's heart, driving him desperately toward the hotel. As he burst through the suite's door, his worst fears appeared horrifically confirmed. Maya lying unconscious beside Lucas, who lay partially undressed, equally unresponsive. Anger and betrayal blinded Nate completely, shattering the fragile trust rebuilt carefully between them. Without awaiting explanation, he stormed from the scene, his heart fractured by what he perceived as ultimate treachery. When Maya awoke hours later, disoriented and terrified, she found herself engulfed in a scandal designed expertly by Camilla to destroy her life. Her attempts to explain proved futile against overwhelming photographic proof rapidly spreading through social circles and media, branding her falsely as unfaithful. Heartbroken and humiliated, Maya desperately confronted Nate, pleading her innocence. Yet, his wounded pride and jealousy made Nate deaf to reason. Coldly, he informed Maya of his intention to strip her permanently of custody, determined to protect Eli from what he believed was her dangerous instability. Left isolated and broken, Maya turned instinctively to Lucas for help, recognizing the near impossibility of fighting Nate's power. Lucas offered unwavering support, yet privately confessed the grim reality. Nate's wealth, influence, and manipulated evidence stacked heavily against her. Emotionally shattered and defeated, Maya reached a painful decision. She couldn't remain trapped beneath relentless judgment, losing Eli piece by piece, her reputation unjustly destroyed. With profound sorrow, she resolved to vanish completely, protecting herself from further heartbreak. Leaving Crestview silently, Maya disappeared, abandoning everything familiar to find solace in anonymity, far from Nate's reach. Months dragged by torturously for Nate, each day intensifying his internal turmoil. Though Eli provided comfort, Nate's heart felt persistently incomplete, haunted relentlessly by memories of Maya and unresolved doubts gnawing at his conscience. Driven finally by a relentless consuming need for truth, Nate employed a trusted investigator independently to dig deeper. When conclusive proof arrived confirming Camilla's calculated manipulation, Nate's world collapsed, crushed beneath guilt, regret, and unbearable shame. He confronted Camilla furiously, severing all ties permanently, ensuring she would never again threaten his family. Consumed by remorse, Nate searched relentlessly for Maya, finally resorting desperately to a public plea for forgiveness. Standing vulnerable before countless viewers, he openly admitted his grievous mistake, begging Maya's forgiveness, asking her to return, not merely for Eli, but for himself, unable to exist without her presence. Maya watched Nate's emotional confession from her distant refuge, deeply conflicted. Love battled fiercely against lingering pain and mistrust, yet Eli's absence created an unbearable emptiness. Ultimately, motherhood compelled Maya's heart toward forgiveness. Reuniting tearfully with Eli brought instant healing, their bond unbreakable. Gradually, cautiously, Maya allowed Nate to re-enter her life, recognizing genuine change in his humility and sincerity. The reunion prompted Eleanor Carter's profound reconsideration. Witnessing Maya's profound devotion firsthand, Eleanor's rigid pride dissolved finally into acceptance, embracing Maya wholeheartedly as an integral part of their family. Months later, beneath twinkling stars, Nate proposed earnestly, offering lifelong devotion. Overwhelmed by love, forgiveness, and gratitude, Maya joyfully accepted, cementing their bond forever. Surrounded by family and close friends, including Lucas, whose steadfast friendship remained cherished, Nate and Maya exchanged vows, their union symbolic of triumph over deceit, betrayal, and profound adversity. Together, Nate, Maya, and Eli embraced a future defined not by past mistakes or painful memories, but rather by enduring love, mutual trust, and unshakable faith in each other. Months after Maya vanished from Crestview, Nate found himself utterly consumed by remorse and loss. His lavish mansion, once filled with promise and life, felt empty and cold, each silent room echoing painfully with memories. Eli frequently asked about Maya, his innocent eyes searching Nate's face for answers he didn't have. With each quiet inquiry, "Daddy, when's Mommy coming home?" Nate's heart fractured further, his guilt intensifying, relentlessly reminding him of the love he had carelessly cast aside. Driven by unbearable anguish and regret, Nate desperately attempted to locate Maya. His initial searches yielded no trace, despite exhausting every resource at his disposal. Private investigators, discreet inquiries, extensive travel. Each attempt led only to bitter disappointment. Eventually, he realized subtlety would never suffice. He needed to bare his soul publicly, to lay down his pride before the world in hopes Maya might hear him and forgive his profound betrayal. Summoning his courage, Nate organized a televised press conference. Standing humbly before countless cameras, he spoke openly and emotionally, his voice trembling slightly with genuine vulnerability. "Maya Bennett is the mother of my son, the only woman who ever truly touched my heart. My arrogance blinded me, allowing lies and manipulation to destroy what we had built. Maya, wherever you are, please hear me. I am deeply, irrevocably sorry. Eli needs you, and I need you more than you'll ever know. Please come home." His heartfelt plea resonated powerfully, swiftly spreading across social media and news outlets nationwide. Public support rallied behind Nate's emotional honesty, amplifying his message far beyond Crestview's borders. Days later, hope appeared. A stranger anonymously contacted Nate, offering a precise location where Maya had been quietly rebuilding her life in a distant town. Without hesitation, Nate traveled urgently toward that small community, his heart pounding anxiously during every mile. Arriving at dawn, he waited nervously inside a modest cafe, eyes scanning each face entering the cozy establishment. Finally, when Maya stepped inside, his breath caught sharply, emotions surging overwhelmingly through him. "Maya," he whispered softly, rising unsteadily from his seat. Her body froze instantly at his familiar voice, her expressive eyes widening in startled disbelief. Turning slowly toward him, her guarded expression reflected profound uncertainty and lingering hurt. "You found me?" she said quietly, her voice fragile yet steady. I searched everywhere," Nate admitted earnestly, stepping cautiously closer. "But finding you required finally acknowledging publicly just how terribly I failed you." Tears shimmered in Maya's eyes as she struggled visibly with conflicting emotions. "You broke my heart, Nate," she admitted honestly, her voice trembling. "How could I possibly trust you again?" He nodded solemnly, his expression deeply remorseful. You have every right to feel betrayed. But please, Maya, know I understand my mistake fully now. Losing you taught me that pride, suspicion, and jealousy destroy what matters most. All I ask is a chance to prove myself worthy again. She hesitated, clearly torn between fear and hope. Finally, her voice softening, Maya whispered, I need to see Eli. Relief washed powerfully over Nate. Then come home with me, he urged gently, hopeful yet respectful. We'll begin again, slowly, carefully, however long it takes. Before leaving town, Maya met privately with Lucas, who coincidentally visited for legal matters nearby. Recognizing she owed him honesty, Maya explained her decision clearly yet gently. Lucas listened compassionately, gracefully accepting her choice without resentment. Your happiness always mattered most, Lucas assured her softly, genuine friendship evident in his kind smile. Go home, Maya. Eli needs you. Returning to Crestview, Maya felt intense anxiety mixed with profound longing as she approached Nate's mansion. The instant she entered, Eli's joyful cry echoed warmly through the grand foyer. Mommy! He sprinted eagerly toward her, tiny arms outstretched desperately. Kneeling swiftly, Maya embraced Eli fiercely, tears freely streaming as she pressed gentle kisses against his forehead. My sweet boy, she murmured repeatedly, her heart finally whole again. Mommy missed you so much. I'll never leave you again, I promise. Standing quietly nearby, Nate watched their reunion with profound gratitude and humility, understanding clearly the depth of Maya's selfless love, something he now vowed to cherish forever. Above them, Eleanor Carter observed silently from atop the grand staircase. Witnessing Maya's return firsthand, Eleanor finally recognized how profoundly mistaken she had been about this remarkable woman. With newfound respect, she approached Maya privately later, offering sincere apologies and heartfelt acceptance into their family. In the days and weeks following, Nate patiently demonstrated genuine change through consistent actions rather than mere words. Small gestures, thoughtful notes, quiet conversations, and respectful patience gradually rebuilt Maya's wounded trust. One clear evening beneath gentle starlight, Nate finally expressed his deepest feelings, proposing tenderly, promising lifelong devotion. With tearful joy, Maya accepted, understanding profoundly that their painful journey had ultimately strengthened their bond, allowing forgiveness, growth, and renewed commitment. Surrounded lovingly by friends, family, and Lucas, whose steadfast friendship remained treasured, they exchanged vows beneath an archway. Blooming with fragrant roses, celebrating a love tempered by adversity yet enduringly resilient. Together beneath warm sunshine in Crestview's picturesque park, Nate and Maya embraced their second chance fully, determined never again to lose sight of the precious love they had rediscovered. A love stronger, deeper, and infinitely more powerful because of every challenge they had faced. After Maya's quiet disappearance, Nate's world became a gray landscape, devoid of color, warmth, or joy. Every sunrise brought a stark reminder of his crushing mistake, and every sunset amplified the aching emptiness she'd left behind. He had Eli, precious, innocent, a beautiful echo of Maya. But even Eli's laughter couldn't fill the hollow space in Nate's heart. Each night, Eli's gentle question, Daddy, when will Mommy come home? Cut deeper, tormenting Nate with relentless regret and profound guilt. Haunted by his choices, Nate poured all his efforts into locating Maya. He employed investigators, traced faint leads, and combed through countless cities, towns, and quiet villages, yet every attempt came up empty, deepening his despair. Finally acknowledging the limits of quiet searching, Nate chose a bold approach, standing publicly, stripped of pride, to openly confess his wrongs. Before a sea of flashing cameras and journalists eager for scandal, Nate stood humbled, his voice shaking slightly yet firm with genuine sincerity. "I'm here today to admit my worst mistake. I allowed deceit, jealousy, and pride to destroy my family. Maya Bennett is the mother of my child, the love of my life. My arrogance cost me everything. My arrogance cost me everything. Maya, wherever you are, please forgive me. I needs you, and God knows I do." His emotional plea resonated profoundly, rapidly spreading far beyond Crestview's glittering skyline. Thousands shared his message, moved deeply by Nate's humility and heartfelt honesty. And soon afterward, hope emerged. A stranger called anonymously, providing Maya's exact whereabouts in a small, peaceful town far from Nate's affluent world. Driven by desperation and hope, Nate traveled swiftly, arriving at dawn in the quiet town where Maya had started anew. Nervous anticipation coursed through him as he waited inside a cozy cafe, eyes anxiously scanning every face entering the warm space. Finally, Maya appeared, her familiar grace undiminished, yet sadness lingered subtly in her gentle features. Nate's breath caught painfully, emotions surging uncontrollably as he softly spoke her name. "Maya." Her body froze at his voice, her gaze slowly lifting to meet his, vulnerability shadowing her expression. "Nate," she whispered, surprise and uncertainty clear in her quiet tone. "You're hard to find," he admitted gently, stepping carefully toward her, heart pounding anxiously. "But I couldn't stop searching until I saw you again." Maya's eyes filled slowly with tears, her voice trembling as she asked quietly, He hesitated briefly, collecting himself before speaking earnestly. "Because I love you. Because losing you taught me that pride means nothing without family, without you. I failed you terribly, Maya. I see that clearly now. All I ask is a chance, not because I deserve it, but because Eli deserves his mother and father together, happy." She remained silent, visibly torn between longing and fear. Finally, her voice barely audible, Maya whispered, "I need to see my son." Relief flooded Nate's heart instantly, cautious hope blooming warmly within. "Then, please, come home with me. Eli misses you desperately." Before leaving, Maya arranged to speak privately with Lucas, her steadfast friend who'd coincidentally arrived nearby for legal matters. With gentle honesty, she explained her choice to return to Eli and cautiously rebuild trust with Nate. Lucas listened with graceful understanding, offering unconditional support. "Your happiness matters most," Lucas assured warmly. "Go home, Maya. Eli needs his mother." Returning to Crestview, Maya's heart raced nervously as she entered Nate's home, the place she'd once been forced to abandon. Suddenly, Eli's ecstatic shout broke the tension. "Mommy!" He sprinted joyously toward her, throwing himself into her waiting embrace. Maya knelt quickly, holding Eli fiercely, tears streaming freely. "My sweet boy, Mommy will never leave you again," she promised gently, pressing kisses against his small, flushed cheeks. Watching their emotional reunion, Nate felt overwhelming gratitude, vowing silently never again to risk losing the family he cherished. From atop the grand staircase, Eleanor Carter observed quietly. Witnessing Maya's unconditional love for Eli finally opened Eleanor's heart, dissolving her prior resistance. Approaching Maya later, Eleanor softly acknowledged her previous mistakes. "I was wrong about you," Eleanor admitted warmly. "You've brought true happiness to my son and grandson." Please forgive my earlier blindness. Weeks passed gently, Nate demonstrating profound change through quiet patience, thoughtful gestures, and consistent respect. Gradually, Maya's wounded trust healed, allowing her heart to reopen slowly. One starlit evening beneath a clear moonlit sky, Nate finally spoke openly of his deep love, proposing tenderly promising lifelong devotion. Maya accepted joyfully, profoundly aware their struggles had forged a deeper, stronger bond. On their wedding day, beneath fragrant blossoms, surrounded lovingly by friends, including Lucas, whose friendship remained treasured, they exchanged heartfelt vows, promising forever. In the following years, Maya and Nate built a life rooted deeply in trust, forgiveness, and enduring love. Eli blossomed securely within a nurturing home filled with laughter, compassion, and honesty. Eleanor watched proudly. Grateful Nate found genuine happiness with Maya's gentle strength beside him. Reflecting quietly beneath the oak tree in Crestview's sunlit park, Nate gently embraced Maya, whispering softly, "Thank you for returning, for teaching me forgiveness." Smiling warmly, Maya nestled closer, murmuring tenderly, "Thank you." Together, they watched Eli play joyfully, each recognizing fully the precious gift fate had granted them. A rare second chance at true happiness, forever cherished within their grateful hearts. In the gentle glow of a golden afternoon, Maya stood hand in hand with Nate beneath a sprawling oak tree in Crestview's peaceful park, watching Eli chase butterflies with carefree joy. Warm sunlight filtered softly through the rustling leaves, casting delicate shadows across their contented faces. The air hummed quietly with laughter, serenity, and a profound sense of belonging that enveloped them fully. It was as if every struggle, every tear, and every painful misunderstanding had led them precisely to this perfect moment. Maya leaned gently against Nate's shoulder, her heart finally whole, her spirit deeply healed from the wounds of their tumultuous past. They had walked a difficult path filled with mistakes, pride, and betrayal, yet each step had shaped them into stronger, wiser versions of themselves. Nate turned toward her, his eyes filled with unguarded affection, a look reserved only for her. "You know," he whispered tenderly, his voice warm with gratitude, "I've learned something invaluable. True happiness isn't built on wealth or pride. It's built right here, on love, forgiveness, and trust." Maya smiled softly, squeezing his hand reassuringly. He nodded slowly, humility deepening his expression. "We did. But perhaps that's exactly why this feels so precious, because we've truly earned it." As Eli sprinted back toward them, his small hands triumphantly clutching a vivid butterfly he gently captured, Maya felt a surge of pure joy. She bent down, softly stroking Eli's tousled hair, her heart overflowing with love. "Mommy, Daddy, look!" Eli exclaimed happily, eyes sparkling with excitement.
"Isn't she beautiful?"
Maya exchanged a warm glance with Nate, their shared smiles conveying everything words could never fully express. "She's perfect," Nate replied gently, ruffling his son's hair playfully. "Just like our family." Months earlier, their future together had seemed impossible, torn apart by Camilla's ruthless manipulations and Nate's misplaced jealousy. Yet their journey had taught them to value honesty, humility, and second chances, forging an unbreakable bond strengthened by trials and forgiveness. Their reconciliation had not come easily. Maya had needed time to rebuild her trust in Nate to fully believe he'd changed. Nate, in turn, had demonstrated patience, devotion, and unwavering support, proving repeatedly through action, rather than mere promises, that his heart belonged solely to her. With every thoughtful gesture, a gentle word, a compassionate embrace, he erased lingering doubts piece by careful piece. Even Eleanor Carter had eventually softened, humbled by witnessing Maya's profound impact on Nate and Eli. She approached Maya privately, one quiet evening, her tone gentle yet sincere. "I was blinded by pride," Eleanor admitted softly, regret coloring her words. "But seeing how deeply my son and grandson love you has shown me clearly. You belong with them. Please forgive my foolishness." Maya accepted Eleanor's heartfelt apology graciously, grateful for the genuine understanding finally blossoming between them. Lucas, too, remained a steadfast presence, a loyal friend whose support never wavered. Though he'd loved Maya from afar, he embraced her happiness wholeheartedly, finding peace in their enduring friendship. On their wedding day, beneath an archway adorned beautifully with roses, Nate and Maya exchanged emotional vows, their words shaped profoundly by all they had endured. Nate promised openly, his voice strong yet tender, "I vow never again to take your love for granted. I will honor, cherish, and trust you completely, for as long as we live." With tears shimmering gently in her eyes, Maya echoed warmly, "I promise to love you unconditionally, to forgive freely, and to trust you deeply every day forward." Their tender promises sealed lovingly beneath clear skies, the embrace of family and close friends surrounding them with heartfelt joy. Eli stood proudly beside them, secure in the knowledge of his parents' profound love, a love stronger precisely because it had weathered storms. Years passed gently, bringing deep contentment and quiet joy. Maya opened her own thriving interior design firm, inspired daily by Nate's unwavering encouragement. Nate balanced his successful career with family life. Discovering true satisfaction came from moments shared lovingly with Maya and Eli, rather than merely wealth or prestige. Eleanor watched proudly, forever grateful Maya had transformed their family with compassion, honesty, and unwavering strength. Lucas remained close, celebrating each milestone with genuine happiness for the woman he'd always cherished. Even Camilla eventually moved on, her bitter jealousy fading into acceptance, finally releasing her obsessive hold on Nate. Reflecting quietly beneath the sprawling oak tree, Nate gently wrapped his arms around Maya, drawing her close. "Thank you," he whispered sincerely, his voice thick with emotion, "for teaching me what truly matters." Maya smiled warmly, pressing a gentle kiss against his cheek. "And thank you for finding me again," she murmured softly, contentment clear in her voice. Together, they watched Eli laugh and run beneath the sunlit sky, deeply aware their love had been tested profoundly, yet emerged stronger, richer, and infinitely more resilient because of their shared struggles. Love, they discovered, wasn't perfect. It was messy, complicated, and beautifully flawed. But it was worth every painful step, every difficult lesson. Under the gentle warmth of that golden afternoon, surrounded by family, friendship, and unwavering trust, Nate and Maya silently vowed to cherish forever the priceless gift fate had graciously granted them, a second chance, profoundly earned and forever treasured. Through Maya and Nate's powerful journey, we discover that true love is resilient enough to overcome even the most profound betrayal and heartache. Their story teaches us the immense power of forgiveness, humility, and the willingness to acknowledge our mistakes. Pride and ego might offer temporary satisfaction, but genuine happiness thrives only when we open our hearts to trust, empathy, and compassion. Maya's unwavering strength reminds us that dignity and grace can triumph over cruelty, while Nate's courage to publicly acknowledge his faults highlights how vulnerability is essential for personal growth and healing. Family, as we learn, isn't built merely on status, wealth, or perfection. Instead, it's nurtured through understanding, loyalty, and the continuous effort to mend what was once broken. Every trial they faced together only deepened their connection, making their bond unbreakable. This beautifully complicated love story inspires us to reflect on our own relationships, encouraging us to forgive more freely, love more deeply, and never take second chances for granted. Above all, Nate and Maya's journey emphasizes one powerful truth: love, that endures hardships, emerges stronger, brighter, and infinitely more meaningful. Mistakes don't define us. Our willingness to learn from them does. By embracing forgiveness and humility, we can transform pain into profound wisdom, creating relationships that are authentic, resilient, and deeply fulfilling. Thank you so much for joining us on this emotional journey. We'd love to hear where you're watching from. Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories filled with life lessons and heartfelt moments. Until next time, take care and keep believing in the transformative power of love.